Hello, this is CKid7 again. I just want to take this time to just let you all, everyone out there know about my progress on the first round of Heroes vs. Villains. So far, yeah, I'm still having some trouble finding the movies that I need for this round. So far with thanks to the Grapoid torrent search engine, whatever it's called, I was able to find Aladdin and Hercules, but unfortunately it would only allow me to download those two, and now it will only let me continue unless I pay for it, and I'd rather not do that. But anyway, so I'm actually almost done with the prologue, but what I'm doing right now is just searching through YouTube and just finding whatever clips of certain villains that I need for the prologue to at least finish it. Until I can find the movies. So and also I will say I do have one fight somewhat done. It still needs the close-up and the color filtration and all that. So Melissa, what are you doing? But yeah. So but the thing is, I still can't find the close-up tool. So I guess what I'll have to do is someone here on the forum, whether it's Heavy Light or Dizzy Daniel or Zero the Killer or someone on here, maybe I could send the fight to y'all and you can help me out with the close-up and the color filtration part. Yeah, that's basically what I have for that. Now, as for a few other things I want to mention after thinking this through. Like, if you remember my last video, I was talking about the use of the Prince of Egypt, and I've been thinking it through, and sorry, it's just I've been kind of having a cold lately. I've been thinking it through, and I decided that that I will be including it. Now, just hear me out for this. I know that I do respect y'all's opinions on the use of Moses, especially you history buff. I do respect that. However, though, I don't know. Let's just say I have a few ideas for both Moses and Ramesses, and I will not be doing anything, you know, out of character for Moses. At least I shouldn't be doing it. I mean, it's just the thing is, in past villain tournaments, we've had a lot of controversial stuff. Like in Disney versus Marvel, we've had that cameo appearance of Adolf Hitler. In the non-digital tour, we had a whole load of controversial stuff, like the Helsing Nazis and Lucifer from Supernatural. And in Disney versus... And the other thing is, wouldn't Ramesses also count as being controversial? Because he was a real person, too. So how come no one ever, like, felt conflicted about the use of him in these tournaments? Because he was also real, and, I mean, he's the brother of Moses, so I'm just saying. And another thing, it kind of reminds me when, History Buff, you commented on my last video, you stated that you don't really like the idea of Moses allying with a Disney character like Mickey Mouse, for example. And, you know, when I read that, it kind of reminded me of, well, you know, the thing is, Disney already did something like that. If you remember from Fantasia 2000, there was one of the segments, which I can't remember the name of it, was, you know, it basically was Donald Duck and Noah with the Ark. So really, Disney already had one of their characters interact with one of the most popular and, in my opinion, one of the most important biblical characters in biblical history. So I'm just saying, I mean, I guess you could argue that that was more of a symphony. It wasn't meant to be serious, whereas The Prince of Egypt was mostly a serious story with at least a few non-serious moments, I guess you could say. At least that's how the nostalgia puts it. And go away. Stupid pop-up message. Where was I? So yeah, like I said, I will... Basically, I just have a very interesting... how do I put this? Like, basically, for Ramesses, on the other hand, I mean, this is heroes versus villains, as you'll know. And Ramesses, he kind of does count as an anti-hero, only he starts from good and then becomes evil, that sort of thing. But I've been thinking through for some story arc ideas. Let's just say I have a very interesting idea for character development for Ramesses. Okay, enough about the Prince of Egypt. Mostly, you're kind of from my arm. Anyway, and I've decided about Heavy Metal 2000, another movie I've been meh on. I might as well include it because let's just say I have some interesting ideas for Tyler, as much as I hate him, but let's just say I'm not going to treat him very nicely. I mean, like I said, Tyler is one of those villains I just do not like. I mean, there's not really a lot of villains that I strictly despise, but there are a few exceptions. Those exceptions being Tyler, Paddington from The Patriot, even though that's live action, Hollywood from Cool World, and Prince Froglet from The Princess and the Goblin, which, by the way, I will be using The Princess and the Goblin in this movie as well. Let's just say I'm not going to treat Froglet very nicely either. And as for, people have asked me, am I going to be using live-action TV show and video games and CGI stuff eventually? Well, I haven't thought that far ahead. I will say probably the only exception for live-action related film to be using for Part 1 would be Cool World, because as much as I think it's such a weird movie and as much as I despise Hollywood, I guess I do have a few ideas for her in Part 1. I mean, she won't have much of a role or an impact, but I will say I do have somewhat of an idea to use her in Part 1. Don't know if I'll be including the other characters, at least not yet, until I get to the whole live-action bit. Now, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is one I'm trying to think if I should use, because at least with Cool World, two of the live-action characters are interacting with cartoon characters in the cartoon realm, whereas in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Roger, Jessica, the Toon Patrol, they're only in the live-action realm, so that might throw things off a little. Yeah, what else was I going to mention? But, yeah, I do hope to eventually use live-action and TV shows and stuff like that. Of course, I mean, like I said, I mean, if I do go into the live-action realm and I decide to use live-action TV shows, I do hope to eventually, like, use stuff like Primeval, which you probably know by now how much I love that show. And I haven't watched them yet, but I'm thinking I actually do hope to include Doctor Who and Sherlock, but I'll have to watch them first. The thing about Doctor Who, though, is that there's a buttload of episodes, so I guess it depends on which Doctor Who you would want me to use, History Buff. The version that the version that Sauna Shadow is using, I guess, is the version I would use later on. Of course, first I have to watch the show. But those would probably be the only live-action, non-Disney TV shows I'd be using, because the thing about using live-action characters, especially the way I'm doing it with the whole Disney heroes versus non-Disney villains and vice versa, that kind of limits of how many non-Disney live-action movies and TV shows I can use. So, unless I do this for the Disney side, another TV show I have not yet watched. But I've heard it's really good, and I keep trying to remind myself to start watching it to see what it's like. I mean, they have it on DVD on Walmart, so at least season 1 of it. I might get it whenever I get a chance. The show I'm thinking of is Once Upon a Time. Pretty much everyone here on the board goes all crazy over the show. They say it's really good, they say it has great characters, and etc. But the thing I've noticed, or at least what I read, is that Once Upon a Time, it was somewhat distributed by Disney, so it kind of counts as Disney, in a way. So, like, if you guys count it as Disney, maybe if I do decide to use Once Upon a Time, I could use that on the Disney side. That way it would give more available heroes and villains to use for the non-Disney stuff to fight. So, yeah. And where are you going, Marissa? Yeah, my snake is just roaming around my bed. Jeez. So, yeah, as for TV shows, like I said, a lot of the TV shows that have been used in Disney versus non-Disney villains or non-Disney villains, I have not watched that much of. So it would be really hard for me to do the TV round, which I mean, don't get me wrong, I hope to include TV characters eventually. Like, of course, the Disney stuff, like Gargoyles and American Jack Jake Long and Kim Possible, Phineas and Ferb, DuckTales, etc. But as with the non-Disney shows, like I said, a lot of these non-Disney shows that are being used, I never really watched that much. But ones that I would probably likely include would be stuff like Avatar: Last Airbender, because I've only seen a few episodes of that show, but from what I've seen, I've seen enough episodes to understand what the plot is. But I think I will include that show for part 2, as well as possibly G.I. Joe Renegades, Thundercats, He-Man. What else is there? I'm trying to think here for a second. Jackie Chan Adventures, Samurai Jack. There were some others. Teenage Mutant Turtles. I don't know about both parts. You know, the 80s version and the 2003 version. I might. In other words, you can tell I got a lot of shows to watch. Oh, and Sonic the Hedgehog. I have not watched the Sonic the Hedgehog, not the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. You know, the one that's all crazy and backguano insane, like what the Nostalgia Critic reviewed. I mean the other one that looks more, that's a little darker. That one actually looks interesting, and I might think about including that one. There are a few TV shows I'm kind of meh on at the moment, like Powerpuff Girls, for example. I mean, it's not that I hate the show, it's that, I don't know. I mean, I'm meh on it in the moment. I might include it, but but we'll see. And Danny Phantom and My Life as a Teenage Robot, that's another one I'm somewhat meh on. I may include them, but we'll see. Now, there are a few TV shows that are pretty much on the not definitely include list. One is The Winx Club. I mean, I never watched the show, but I don't know. I mean, that one, I'm somewhat, I don't know. It just, like History of a Point, the animation doesn't look all that good, but we'll see on that one. And the other show. There's one TV show that's on my mind right now that, if I did or did not include it, it would probably bring up, like, yays and nays. So, like, the show I'm thinking of is My Little Pony: Friendship is Magic. Because you have people who love it, and people who hate it. Me, I don't know. I mean, I guess there are a few pros to it. I mean, I've seen only a couple episodes, and from what I've seen, it's not exactly what I expected. I expected it to be so incredibly lame and cheesy. I mean, parts of it are cheesy, don't get me wrong, but it has somewhat of a... I mean, the only episodes I've seen are the ones with Discord in them. And I will admit, Discord, he is actually a pretty interesting character. I mean, it's kind of like what you, History Buff, said about Darkheart in your non-Disney villain Round 5 commentary. You basically stated that... Melissa, don't slip off my shoulder. You basically stated that, you know, like with... It's like with Darkheart. With Discord, you look past the fact that he has cheesy opponents, and he's from a cheesy show, and just look at his personality and his voice acting and his powers. He is actually a pretty okay villain. He's actually pretty interesting. In fact, as silly as it sounds, he's actually somewhere as one of my somewhat favorite TV villains. The only problem is that he's from a cheesy show and he has cheesy opponents. At least that's the way I see it. I mean, like I said with Care Bears, it's one thing to include the villains from the show. It's another thing to include the heroes. Because the villains I can handle. So, it's villains like Discord and King Sombra, mostly because Sombra, he's basically the Lord Sauron equivalent. Yeah, he's basically the Lord Sauron of the My Little Pony series. Literally, it's actually true in an interview that he was based on Lord Sauron. But still, just with the main characters themselves, I don't know. I mean, if I did include the show for part 2, I would get a bunch of yays, but a bunch of nays. If I don't include the show, I'll get a bunch of yays, but a bunch of nays. So either way, I'm going to get a bunch of yays and nays. So, yeah, that's the thing I'm not sure of. But, yeah. Another TV show, I've also been thinking about TV shows that I can use that have not been used. Like, for example, is anyone familiar with the show Where on Earth is Carmen Sandiego? I've watched a few episodes of it, and it's actually a pretty good show. I mean, it's educational, teaches kids about history and geography and all that. And of course, Carmen Sandiego is one villain I'm surprised none of us has used yet. I don't know if she has enough fight footage or whatever, but I'm just saying it'd be interesting to use her. Like, I actually do hope that someone like Saber Windman or Son of Shadow or someone uses that show, because I don't know, Carmen Sandiego, even though I never really watched the show that much, I did play some of the computer games. In fact, hold on a second. In fact, I actually still have some of the computer games with me. The Math Detective one, the Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. I don't know if you can see it. This one I played a lot. Where in the USA is Carmen Sandiego. And here is what's my personal favorite. Where in Time is Carmen Sandiego. It's the one where you time travel through ancient history and stuff like that. This one I think is the most fun out of the four. But yeah, I used to play them a lot when I was a kid, and you know, I don't know why, but I actually kind of feel like playing them again. At least the Where in Time one. That one's my favorite. But yeah, I'm just saying that's another show I'm kind of thinking about including for part 2. And as for anime shows, I don't remember if I brought this up already in my last video, but if I do, a lot of people, especially history buffs, are probably going to ask me, am I going to use anime TV shows for part 2? Well, like I said, the only anime TV show that I have watched full on, like every episode, is Dinosaur King, which that one I actually do think about including. Outside of that, though, I guess I could include something like Digimon, even though I never really watched Digimon, but I guess I'll have to watch that and see if I'll include that one. And other anime shows, like, Wilson, where are you going? Sorry, my ball python's been a little active today. For a snake who has not eaten in, like, almost 8 months. I know, it's insane. But other anime shows, like I said, I have not watched a lot of anime shows like Fullmetal Alchemist or Code Geass, but I'll have to think about those, see if I would include them. And, oh yeah, another thing about live action. There are a few live action movies that I'm definitely not going to be including for this series. So far, the only one I'm definitely not including will be the Twilight movies. I'm sorry, I'm like a lot of people. I just don't like Twilight. I just don't like how they treat the vampire and werewolf legends. I think the romance in those films are just, for lack of a better term, weird. I mean, okay, to be fair, I have not watched the movies, but still, it's just the concept looks weird. And after watching the Nostalgia Critics Top 11 Dumbasses in Distress, when he had Bella as number 1, yeah, I'm still not interested in seeing the films. But, in fact, this kind of reminds me of, this is going to be way off topic here for what I'm about to talk about. It kind of reminds me of the conversation me and a couple friends of mine were having about Twilight. Like, I think I brought this up and saying, if I wanted to watch a movie that's about Beauty and the Beast, I'd watch Beauty and the Beast. Because at least what they did there, that's a very beautiful story, what Disney did with that story. What they did in Twilight is just weird. And the same thing with Pixar's Up. I mean, what they did in Up, they managed to make a beautiful romance story in the first, like, 6 to 7 minutes without any, without barely any words or dialogue. Whereas Twilight, it took them 3 books and 4 movies. That says something, in my opinion. I mean, actually, it was a friend of mine that said that. I just had to agree. So, yeah. So, well, Seth. Anyway, yeah, like I said, as for my round 1 proc support, I know I'm being slow and all, but, you know, I'm also busy here in the real world. But, like I said, I am working on round 1. Thanks to whatever few video clips I can find on YouTube, I'm just gathering up whatever videos have certain clips of certain villains to use for the prologue. I mean, I will eventually need the full movie themselves, but yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I could try. I mean, I tried the torrent search engine. Like, I think it was James Kill that posted this, but it's just, I just don't want to risk downloading a virus. In fact, I don't know if, I mean, there might be something up with my laptop. I don't know, but it's fine right now. But I just don't want to risk downloading a virus and all. I mean, for me, I think the easiest thing to do would, like I said a bunch of times on the forum, I don't know if it's possible, but is it possible that you guys, if you have the movies that I need, is it possible you can post them on YouTube, even if you have to post them in parts? That would be okay. I mean, I know copyright issues, but just post them long enough that I can download them, like, you know, use the YouTube converter and download them onto my laptop. And then you can get rid of them once I give you the okay that I have them. And, or another option is, like I said, you could email me the movies. I could put the movies in a file and just email them to me. My email is ckaplan@yahoo.com. But yeah, I mean, if it's possible to do those two things and y'all can do it, that'd be great. It'd be a heck of a lot easier for me because, like, I don't know how you guys exchange movies and stuff. Besides, I mean, the movies that are on YouTube, like Rockadoodle, The Princess and the Goblin, The Pebble and the Penguin, those movies I can get. It's the movies that go away, you stupid ass. Sorry, these pop-ups keep getting in the way of my video. But yeah, if it's possible y'all guys can do that, that'd be great. It would be a lot easier for me. But like I said, I only have one fight that's almost done, but I just need someone to help me out with the close-up and the color filtration. Like, I don't know how I can send you guys the video, like if I send them through y'all's email or what. I don't know how that works. Like, I'm still new to this whole thing. But yeah, bottom line is, I hope you all enjoy this series. Like, and I hope I'll be able to come up with a great story that you all will enjoy. I do have several ideas for stories, and like I said, I hope you guys will forgive me for including the Prince of Egypt, because I do have some interesting ideas for Ramesses, for character development, as well as Moses, but I won't be doing anything rational with Moses, okay? At least hope that I won't, but I mean, you know, I just hope you will all enjoy this series, and yeah. So, yeah, I guess I'll be off to work on the round 1, as well as watch the next movie on my Disney vs. Non-Disney Villains Part 1 movie marathon. And, oh boy, I think the next movie is Cool World, unfortunately. But yeah, this is CK Brown 7, and have a nice day.